Hey everybody, this is Riker Rider, and welcome to a special bonus episode of Let's Play Trauma Team.
Our goal is to remove polyps,
In the first 4 of the 6 bonus episodes I plan on putting up, I'm going to be showcasing one operation from each practice on specialist difficulty. This is the 3rd endoscopy operation, Marionette's Lament. One thing you may notice about specialist difficulty is that the vitals decrease a lot faster than they do on resident, so you're going to have to make use of your stabilizer a lot more. And just working faster in general. Mistakes also cost you a lot more on specialist difficulty. Now, the text in these operations does take a long time to go through, but once you've beaten operation for the first time, if you press the minus button during the course of an operation, you will be able to skip all of the text. Unfortunately, you can't activate it before the operation starts like you could in Trauma Center New Blood, and that's very annoying if you're trying to get excess ranks. One very special thing about Specialist is you can actually get a rank higher than S. That rank is called XS. Now, one thing that I mentioned at the end of the previous episode was Doctor Medals. If you want all of the Doctor Medals, all 48 of them, you're going to have to XS every single operation in the game, and I am nowhere near good enough to do that. We're coming up to a peristaltic movement section here, and one of the big differences between Resident and Specialist is the peristaltic movement is a lot faster than it was on Resident. You may be able to tell that. The operations themselves don't change any, like there's not any more work for you to do, it's just everything does a lot more damage. That holds true in pretty much all the modes, but it's especially true in Endoscopy. I mean, even just having one polyp on the screen is causing vitals damage to be over 1 point per second. I also want to say that graded things in the game, like ulcer injections, using the doing hemostasis, things that are graded, those tend to be harsher on Specialist. Like, you'll need to be a lot closer to the line when you do your injections. And things tend to wear off faster as well. But there's not too much different about the operations themselves. Just mistakes cost you more. Like, you saw how I caught the edge of the intestinal wall there? If you catch the edge of the intestinal wall, that does something like 40 to 50 damage on Specialist and can cause you to lose the patient outright. So you'll want to be very careful. I haven't mentioned it yet, but all of the bonus episodes will be done in post-commentary. Primarily for my own sanity, because Specialist is very challenging. It's not quite as difficult as Hard was in New Blood. I would say it's about as difficult as Second Opinion Hard. So, not massively difficult like New Blood was, but you definitely have to pay attention more. And you have to go into each operation with a plan. This difficulty is unlockable for a reason. Matter of fact, people who are very good at this game will tell you that the first time you beat the game on Resident mode is basically one giant tutorial. As harsh as that is, it's true. if you don't know what you're doing, even the first operation on Specialist will kick your butt. And this operation is actually fairly easy if you don't hit the intestinal wall. I would definitely restore vitals before going through any section of peristaltic movement, because if you go in to a peristaltic movement section with vitals below 60, it's entirely possible for you to just kill the patient outright by ramming into the intestinal wall with the endoscope. Especially with the increased rate at which the digestive tract pushes you back. Anybody decent at trauma games should be able to beat the game on Resident. I mean, there are a couple of really hairy episodes, like Missing Girl, but overall it's not terrible. When you get into Specialist, though, the game just really kicks... It really shows its true colors. This particular part of the intestine is really difficult to navigate without hitting the intestinal wall, and I'm really surprised that I didn't hit the wall back there or there. Never mind. Yeah, another very frustrating thing that can happen in these missions because of the speed at which the peristaltic movement occurs is you can move forward almost into a wall and then get pushed back into the wall, and it will still do a lot of damage. The amount of damage the endoscope takes also depends on how fast you're going through the wall. So if you ram the intestinal wall sufficiently hard, you can just kill the patient outright. And it's surprisingly easy for that to occur when your motion controls are spazzing out. I believe I expressed this at one point during the main Let's Play. But in Specialist, if that happens, it can just kill the patient outright, and it's very frustrating, especially on longer missions like this one. Another thing you really need to be careful of is when you're cutting out tumors or anything in endoscopy with the forceps, it does a ton of damage, usually 2 to 3 points of damage per blue dot. You saw how I lost about 45 vitals just cutting the tumor out, so whenever you have to deal with multiple tumors like this, you're going to need to restore the vitals after every single tumor. Then some of the tumors that are large, remember how I said that staying far away from the tumor lets you cut it out faster? That might not actually be a good idea on Specialists, just because of how much damage you can do to the patient just by cutting it. And you have to do this. You have to take this vital loss. Now, I don't remember this mission completely from memory, but I think we have one more peristaltic movement section before the end. My memory might be off, though. Oh, no, this is the end. Okay. So I probably just missed, like, a blood pool or something. Yeah, the stuff on the ceiling is really easy to miss. Now, another thing that sets aside Specialist from the other difficulties is the bonuses are a lot more strict. Like here, you have to get 12 out of 14 possible pools, and you have to keep vitals above 20 instead of 10. I'm actually pretty happy with this rank, because it's very hard to get good grades on endoscopy.
The operation was successful thanks to you, Doctor.
Yes, I'm glad the patient is safe. I just hope the recovery goes smoothly.
Indeed. We only truly succeed when a patient resumes a normal life.
Well,
You can also hit minus to skip cutscenes, like the ending cutscene. Now that this is over, I want to show off all the requirements for Tomoe's medals, and I'm going to edit the requirements for those into the video itself. Some of them I already have, but most of them I don't. And the final medal for each of the 4 main modes, the ones that aren't adventure modes, in order to get that, you will need to get an XS rank on every single operation in that field. And that's something I don't think I will ever do. Well, that'll do it for this bonus episode of Let's Play Trauma Team. Next time, I'm going to cover Hank Freebird's specialist operations. Well, one of them, and then show off the medal requirements. See you later.